Hey, welcome everyone to the Secure and Defend section conversation. I'll be your host today, David DeSanto, Director of Product for Secure and Defend. We have lots of questions to get through, so we can dive into start. DT's not on the call, but I'll vocalize the question and then Sam, you can vocalize your answer. Can you clarify initial roadmap language support? I heard Go, others. This would help us engage and inform customers.
Yeah, great question. So we have plans to support a number of different use cases and a lot of different languages with fuzzing. I'd encourage you to look at our direction page to see where our long-term vision and goals are. For our MVCs and what we're going to be focusing on short-term, though, we're going to be looking at applications written in Go and being able to do coverage-guided fuzzing on
them. Okay, Jorn, you have the next question.
Yeah, hi. So I was just wondering about the Peach for the Community Edition, if that's going to survive or not, or what the state of this, because when I had an earlier part in this question was linking to a broken installation description, but I just figured it was some AWS weirdness, so the installation description is still there. This weirded me out the most. That's why I put the question there. So yeah.
Yeah, I heard your question, Jorn. A couple people commented in the chat that they could not. Did you want to just give a very short, maybe slightly louder repeat of the question?
So the main question would be about the community edition of Peach, if it's going to be continued or not.
Yes, and the answer to that is we are definitely going to continue it. We wanted to focus first on integrating the API security product in, allowing people to both do a DAST API and fuzzing of REST APIs. And then next year, I believe on Sam's roadmap is to begin working on the protocol fuzzing, which is what the Peach Community Edition is. I know there's a dead link. I think it was marketing. Somebody sent over the link to me this morning. I'm going to look at that today and see if we can't get the documentation back live. Okay. I think, Sid, you have the next question.
Thanks. First of all, thanks for the video. Really helpful. And my question was, if we're still doing UEBA, can we put that on the homepage? And I think there was some confusion. When I mentioned ship the homepage, I didn't mean strip the homepage. I mean ship the things that are on the homepage, not remove them from the homepage.
Yeah, that's fair. And to kind of vocalize what I added to that is, yeah, I assumed we only wanted things on the homepage that were shipping within the next quarter. And because UEBA is not shipping until next year, I moved it to marketing to be false, so it wouldn't show up on the homepage. It still shows up on the direction page for Defend, and it still shows up with its own direction page off the categories page. But we can definitely switch it back to marketing equals true.
Yeah, and I might change my mind. If it's like the last thing on the homepage, then I'll come back to you and ask, like, okay, what's the minimal thing we can do? And you say it's really not possible. I really thought about it really long, and then we'll remove it anyways. But for now, removing something is not the idea.
Yeah, and to be clear, I think that we have a nice path to having something minimal, but all the effort for that team is behind the vulnerability management maturity right now, because we consider that a bigger impact to our users today, as opposed to shipping something minimal for UEBA and not adding more into the dashboards, the reporting, the merge request widget, and so forth.
Makes total sense. And the next one as well, we now have 5,000 monthly active users. How do you think that will change as we open source some of it? I think we're open sourcing some of SAST. Maybe someone can say what we're open sourcing and how that will affect it.
Yeah, so I'll let Taylor vocalize his comment.
Yeah, so we are moving all of our open source analyzers down to core. We're starting with Brakeman. This is just one of 18 of our scanners, so I don't imagine we're going to see a large increase in MAU immediately, but month over month, as we continue to move these scanners down, the total number of customers who have access to these scanners will grow by orders of magnitude. So I do expect that this will help drive monthly active users of Secure, and hopefully will entice customers to consider other value propositions of secure.
Cool. And if people want to help with moving these scanners to the open source code base, are they able to? Are there issues for each of the languages that are labeled accepting merge requests?
There are. All of our scanners have relevant issues for the move to core. It's attached to a singular epic, which I'll link here.
Awesome. Thanks. Congrats on becoming a CVE authority. That's a big milestone. I just wondered how hard was it and how does that work for end users? How do they request the number from us?
Yeah, so great question. And it wasn't so difficult in the normal sense, but there was a lot of collaboration required with MITRE to go back and forth on, we have to have these sorts of processes in place, this sort of reporting infrastructure, and go through training. That was a big part of it. I think we've done a lot of work in terms of automating and making a lot of these processes more efficient for ourselves internally at GitLab. We saw some examples where people are just using Excel spreadsheets and emails as kind of their source of truth, but we're doing something a little bit better in my opinion. I put a link on there to your question about how users can interact with us. They start on our responsible disclosure page, and then if there is an issue they want to report that they've done some security research on, they'll create an issue from a template that we have. It's created confidential by default, and that's what kicks off the conversation with the CNA group to go ahead and get all the details we need, and then issue that CVE ID number that will then report to MITRE for them. Okay, and this is to report security issues in GitLab or in third-party libraries as well? Like in stuff completely unrelated to GitLab, like I have a cool JavaScript framework and there's a bug in it. Yeah, so the issue is for GitLab.com hosted projects. If there's an issue in GitLab.com itself, that goes to the security@GitLab email alias. Okay, but the link is to secure. The responsible disclosure policy is for security@GitLab.com. So is there a separate process for kind of projects hosted on GitLab.com? So they use that same page as the starting point. On the second paragraph, there's a link to the issue template if they want to make it on a GitLab hosted project. So they start on this page, whether it's on GitLab itself or on one of our hosted projects. Ah, cool. Consider making that separate pages. Maybe we should have a GitLab responsible disclosure policy and then kind of the CV request policy or something like that. Cool, okay. Thanks. Good feedback. And congrats on getting included in the AST quadrant. That's pretty big. Larry has the next question.
David, with regards to the recent acquisition of the organization, the question that has been posed to me is, from an ultimate customer, is should they expect to receive that functionality that has recently been acquired, or do you expect this will be part of an ultimate plus offering? Has there been any conversations there? And furthermore, what expectations would you encourage me to set with my customer?
That's a great question. The first part of that, both acquisitions will be part of the ultimate tier. The only exception to that is the community fuzzers that Fuzzit was using. Those we plan on leaving in the open source tier. However, I guess we call it the intellectual property, the unique component that they brought to the table, all of that would stay in ultimate because it would be tied back into our reporting structure. In the case of Peach, that will be in ultimate for API security. And as the earlier question that Jorn asked, the Peach Community Edition for protocol fuzzing, that'll be in the core tier, free tier sometime next year. We have that later in our acquisition plan or our merger plan. To talk about the integrations and when customers will start to see it, the July release will have what we're calling preview release. Will be the first integration of Go fuzzing with our minimal maturity plan for October. In October, we would have multiple language support. I'll let Sam highlight what languages he's shooting for, as well as the first integration available to customers for the API security product that we acquired from Peach. The viable goal is the end of the fiscal year. So we have a very aggressive roadmap plan. Both companies brought amazing technology to the company. So now it's just about getting it integrated into our product. Sam, do you want to elaborate on any of that or touch on the language support?
Yeah, so just to extend that a little bit, I'll refer you to our issue board where you can see all the specific languages we're talking about and how we're prioritizing them relative to each other. But really our key focus is on taking the existing technology we have, which supports languages like C, C++, Java, and Rust, and really making those available to end users with what we have first, and then working on adding new languages afterwards. Something we're also really trying to emphasize is usability of fuzz testing, because we want to make sure that what we're building is usable by the majority of people out there, not just security experts and people that already know how to use fuzz testing.
Yeah, and to your question, Larry, about the value to customers, I think Sam hit the first one, right, the nail right on the head there, that when we talk to some of the customers with you, even they stress the difficulty of getting fuzzing started. One of the things that were highlighted by one of the analysts in one of the interviews from last week was that making fuzzing approachable is going to make it easier for devs to begin to adopt it. And so I think that's going to be a really nice value add. The other thing from a value add is that both companies brought industry-leading products from their space. And so Fuzzit, being a leader in coverage-guided fuzzing, is going to be huge. That's the first thing that we're rolling out as part of the CI pipeline. And then Peach has been a well-recognized name for protocol fuzzing over the last 5 to 10 years, and recently with their newest private API security product. So when I think of one of the customers that you're currently, I believe, negotiating with, would be a good way to tell you which one I'm referring to. They were very big on needing to test their APIs. They were like, we don't do that today. And we've heard that a lot from our customers. And so this is going to allow them to have that API testing functionality available, integrated in, shifted left, and find issues earlier.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay, Dennis, I think you have the next question.
Yes, so exciting news regarding fuzzing. I wonder what are your thoughts on directed gray box fuzzing, which is a bit of a further continuation of the coverage-gated fuzzing. I think that could have great potential, especially for DevSecOps, where you want to not just maximize the coverage, but you want to make sure that your fuzzing focuses on the latest commit that was submitted. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, Sam, I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, so great question. Definitely something we're thinking about. Probably later out in terms of our maturity for fuzz testing. The big thing about gray box testing, it gives you better results than potentially doing traditional type of fuzzing. But the thing we're not sure about how to do it effectively is how do we make that easy for users to do? It will require understanding how the application works. So users would have to tell us, we want you to fuzz this area specifically, right? So we need to work through kind of how do we make that process easy and straightforward for users. So going back to my point about usability, we really need to nail it and make sure that fuzzing is easy to use out of the box, and then we can move on to some of these more advanced sorts of fuzzing use cases in the future. But yeah, definitely something we're thinking about.
Okay, Sid.
Yeah, there's a slide that talks about a community manager. Community manager is a defined function in the GitHub marketing team. I think what you're hinting at is a merge request coach. Is that correct?
Yep, you've nailed it. That's exactly the intent of this. Basically, with us moving these 18 analyzers down to core, we expect there'll be more community contributions. I'll admit we had not been super on top of community contributions in the past. So this is a defined person every single release on our team who will help ferret and shepherd these community contributions and making sure that we engage them in a very timely manner.
Thanks for that. Can we make sure we consistently use the merge request coach lingo throughout the organization?
Sure.
Thanks.
Mac, I believe you got the next one.
Thanks for that. Well, congrats on the acquisition and welcome PeachTech and Fuzzing team members. Fuzzing is can be applied to regular testing as well, and not just security testing. Do you have any plans to share knowledge and know-how on anything to the testing group, or is the intent for us to use fuzzing under secure category to expand to other functionality of non-secure fuzzing as well? What are your thoughts on that?
And again, Sam, I'll default that one to you.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a great point, Matt, because fuzz testing can definitely find flaws in business logic of apps, not just security issues. What our plans are for how we can expand this further in GitLab is really all about dog fooding. The best way that we can improve our products is to use our products, and there are a number of different things at GitLab that are all written in Go, which I think make great places for us to start, and not just from the security perspective, but the functional correct perspective that you're bringing here. So I mean, I would love to collaborate with you and the other teams in the org to find places where we can do dog fooding of fuzzing in the short term.
Cool, that sounds great. We'll reach out. This is exciting. Thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah, and while we have a little lull in the questions here, I do want to take a chance to welcome Evgeny and Mike to the call and let them introduce themselves. I know several of you already pinged me on Slack or in the Zoom chat about are they in the call and can they introduce themselves. So I guess first, Evgeny, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, David. Hi, everyone. Really excited to join. Working on the Fuzzing integration and bringing this vision to all the GitLab users. I think it's really cool to see this this capability native in GitLab, and it will be, as far as I know, the first platform that has coverage guided fuzzing native without any third parties and another product built in. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's my third week here, so so far I really enjoyed here. So thank you, everyone.
Hey, this is Michael Eddington. Also super excited to be here, working on integrating fuzzing tools into a DevSecOps pipeline. This is something I'm pretty passionate about, and I'm really excited to get to work with the GitLab team to accomplish these things.
Great, thanks for both introducing yourselves. At this point, we've hit the end of the questions. If anybody wants to vocalize anything before we wrap up, anybody have any additional questions? Okay, well, thank you everyone for attending the group conversation. We'll give you 7 minutes back, and have a good rest of your day.
Try to
Bye all.
from me.
Thank you.